All right, everyone, I am with Dave Coleman. He is a self-described Miata nerd. That was on your name tag when you guys pulled it up today.
It'll be on my business card if I make a new one.
You should. It should be on your business card. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit. We're in the 2016 new MX-5. I'm so excited. But you know, one of the things that a lot of people have been worried about is it's got less horsepower than the outgoing model. We're at 155 horsepower as opposed to 167 in the NC.
Right.
So, I mean, why the drop?
Well, the peak power is only a single data point on the whole power curve.
Okay.
And I think that's very misleading. So the old engine made 167 horsepower at 7,000 RPM, but when you weren't at 7,000 RPM, that didn't matter. If you look at the actual whole power band, the torque curve of this engine is very flexible. So actually, from 1,000 RPM to 6,000 RPM, this engine is stronger than the old engine was.
Okay.
So that's the engine speed where you're at most. I drive like a complete hooligan. I'm still hardly ever at 7,000 RPM. Right? Most of the time you're down there. And so really the power that matters is the power the engine's going to make right now.
Correct.
Right?
Okay.
So this pulls a lot harder out of a corner. It's a lot more flexible. It's a lot less picky about what gear you're in. It just makes it a lot easier to drive, and it actually ends up being faster because the area under the curve, on average, most of the time, it's more powerful than the old engine.
Well, Mazda is developing and building the global spec. So the 2016 global Mazda MX-5 Cup car will be built by us, the left-hand drive in North America, the right-hand drive in Japan, and this car will be the single spec homologated car that'll run in amateur racing, in professional series, not just here in North America, but throughout the world.
So you guys were able to figure out a configuration on the car that will be legal in both amateur series and in pro series without having to do anything back and forth, no swapping of parts back and forth or anything.
Correct. After about 6 months of testing, both computer simulations and on-track testing, we've come up with a wonderful configuration, tires, shocks, brakes. I think it's going to be the best value in motorsports. So,
well, speaking of value, I mean, can I just walk into my Mazda dealership and be like, hey, I want the spec car? Like, you know, how do I go about getting that?
We're going to be selling the left-hand drive. So you would come through me with Mazda Motorsports, and then we would help facilitate the sale through one of our engineering partners that's actually helping to develop the car long road racing.
So the gear that you're in when you want to get good fuel economy should be the one that's most efficient.
Okay,
that's why we
that
make
makes
6 1-to-1.
That makes sense.
But that's shorter. Usually you have an overdrive for 6. So to make that work for the total gearing, transmission gear times final drive gear, you take that 1-to-1 and you put a taller final drive. Okay. Right? And so totally you end up with a little bit taller gear, but it's the most efficient gear.
But this, if it's anything like the road cars, they're much easier to maintain, much more inexpensive. Is that a word? More inexpensive to maintain.
Relatively speaking, this should be the best value in motorsports. Absolutely. Okay. No, this is much less expensive than a Ferrari to drive, and it should be more fun to race.
Well, of course, because it's a Miata, right? So when we're out on the highway today, I can drop it into 6th gear and I can expect to see my RPMs drop.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm so excited.
The highway fuel economy rating on this is 34 miles per gallon, which is a huge improvement over the old car.
I'm sorry, did you say something? Because I was turning a corner and I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I was talking about something that's so completely irrelevant. You asked the question, I'm sure I remind you that.
Now, fuel economy, yes, this is a big improvement over the previous generations and especially over the NC.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, when we were testing the car, we had early pre-production cars. We had a bunch of guys just putting lots of miles on them just to check everything. And those guys who were just out turning miles every day, sitting in traffic, driving up and down mountains, sort of ordinary everyday driving, they were coming back with 40 miles per gallon.
No way.
We thought the calibration of the computer was wrong, like it was measuring it wrong or something, but then we'd filled it up and they really were getting 40.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's insane.
Yeah, because people ask me all the time, because I drive a second-gen Mazda Speed, and they ask me all the time, oh, you get great gas mileage, and I'm like, oh, not that great.
Well, you know, I've seen what your right foot does.
Yeah.
You're going to be like me, and I'm never going to get 40 in this car.
No,
You're
it's
never
not
going to
gonna
get 40, but a lot of people will.
Never gonna happen. And I am sure that as soon as people start buying this, I'm going to start seeing them at SEC.
You will. This is a killer autocross car.
Yeah.
We have already done a lot of autocross testing. We were planning for that in the development of the car, making sure that it was going to work well in an autocross, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, thanks so much, Dave. This was awesome. Man, I wish I could just like do a big old
Do a donut.
handbrake turn. Yeah, do a donut in the middle of the first seasons.
First time that we're going to have it on the track, at least the development car, will be at Targa Newfoundland in middle of September.
Okay.
The first time that the actual production car, once we actually build the race cars, will be on track from Mazda Motorsports, will be at the 25-hour of Thunder Hill.
Okay.
In
and
December.
That's December. Okay. And this is the same 2.0 liter Skyactiv that's in all of the regular production cars, correct?
Correct. We haven't touched the engine. We've sealed it. And so very similar in horsepower. We're going to add a different exhaust system.
Right. And I'm assuming you'd like tune the ECU and all that kind of stuff.
We got an aftermarket ECU, so it can't be broken into. So really, there's not going to be anybody playing and with the car. It's going to be very affordable. We're not going to have the adjustments for going out for different engines and different engine providers.
Right.
Should be a really good deal.